Welcome everyone, I'm Kingly Valence, and thanks for watching this fun Spore video. Today, we are playing as the smallest possible creature in Spore. And this small group of pixels here is our creature. We are super tiny. Next to these other creatures, we are the size of an ant, and they are like epics to us. This creature was made on the latest version of Spore without any other mods, and we are going to use this creature to beat Spore and reach the center of the galaxy, barely large enough to even appear in the game. The smallest creature Spore normally allows us to build is this creature with 2 bone segments. And this 2-boned creature will appear about the size of a rock in creature stage. But this is still too large. We need to go even smaller. We need the micro creature. This micro creature was made using an interesting editing trick that I also showed in my creature stage glitches video. But essentially, we want another creature part to be attached to one leg, but unaffected by the other leg. This allows us to control the part's position with one leg, but also be able to freely move both legs independently from this creature part. With this, we can push the part really far away from the creature's main body. First push the part down with our left leg, then using our right leg, we can pull both legs back up. Then we can keep pushing the floating part further and further away. After doing this a bunch of times, we can see if it works using the test drive mode, and it worked if the camera shoots way up into the sky. Loading into creature stage, this makes our creature's body incredibly tiny, and looking very closely, we can see the floating part bobbing around as well. What appears to be happening is Spore expects our creature to take up a certain volume, but since we pushed that other part so far away, Spore had to scale down our creature to actually fit into this volume, and this ends up making our creature appear ridiculously small, which was a very fun and different way to play through Spore. However, starting from the beginning of Spore in cell stage, all cells are 6 bone segments long, and there isn't really too much we can do to shrink the cell much further. This is as small as we can go, but this is just like a regular pitiful worm cell. So just for fun in cell stage, let's see if using Cheat Engine can get us any smaller. And with Cheat Engine, it's possible to get our micro creature into cell stage. Bringing our creature into the cell editor, we get a top-down view of the creature. We'll make our creature cell a carnivore with 1 flagella, just like a normal starting cell, and load into cell stage. And I was expecting this creature to also become very small once we entered the tide pool, but instead something very different happened. Our micro creature does not get scaled down in cell stage. Our main body is way over here, instead of normally in the center of the screen. Our cell must be pivoting around the midpoint between our body and our floating creature part. I was not expecting this at all, but this is still really interesting. And because our cell body extends so far from the center, it's like our cell follows the mouse cursor around incredibly fast. This looks and feels so odd to have the cell move around like this. I love using Cheat Engine to find weird ways to break this game, but this isn't really the smallest cell like I was hoping for. Using Cheat Engine again this time, let's bring in the 2-bone segment creature into cell stage and see how that looks. And that's much better. It's so small. The plant pieces are larger than its entire body, and we can put on some tiny spikes to fend off these giant cells. We can even take on a super large cell. Death by 1,000 cuts. Who's big now? Finishing up cell stage, and we get a brain that will fill up our entire tiny cell. We are just 100% brain. Moving into creature stage, but now we can continue with our micro creature design for the rest of the run. And we're still tiny. We're smaller than this creature's foot. How's the weather up there? I'm surprised they can hear us from all the way down here. Back in the editor, we can still add additional arms and legs to our micro creature as long as we keep the floating part. And now it looks like we're sprinting with our new legs instead of just gliding around. Look at it go. This reminds me of that old computers trying to run simulation. Though we may be small, we still pack a punch, and we can easily take down these much larger blue creatures. And we can eat their entire body. This chunk of meat may be larger than us, but that won't stop us from eating it all. And we found a rogue creature we can ally and bring into our pack. This giant powerful rogue is going to be led by the smallest creature on the planet. And our tiny creature isn't satisfied with just 1 rogue. No, it needs to lead 3 rogues. And attacking these other creatures with these rogues is like having your older siblings with you on the playground. And that completes creature stage, and we get the largest brain that's 10 times bigger than our whole body. Where are we storing all this brain power? Moving into tribal stage, I had to watch the cutscenes to see what our creature would look like during these. This is the cutscene where our creature finds a stick and makes fire. And even as the tiny creature, we can still lift and throw the stick no problem. But we definitely got squished when the stick lands on us. entering tribal stage, and our creature stays small here as well. All the later stages will also scale down our creature in the same way as creature stage. Getting our instruments, and just like an ant, they can carry many times their own body weight. And because of how small our tribe members are, their voices are super high-pitched. Here are the tribal voices normally. And here's us again. But big or small, the rival tribes are still impressed by our performance. Our tribe members must have very powerful lungs to make that much sound from the wooden horns. Reaching the next tribe, and this one is being attacked by an epic. Our chieftain wants a closer look, and the chieftain is hiding entirely behind the staff. It's like a cartoon hiding behind a telephone pole. But seeing the different sizes of these creatures is still pretty crazy. Allying with Lavender Tribe, who also approves of our tiny performance, and we complete tribal stage as the tiniest traveling band. And as the tiniest creatures, they also make the smallest buildings and vehicles. I didn't know of any editing tricks to make any extra tiny buildings or vehicles, but shrinking down a single building piece is still a mansion for our micro guys. They look like tiny bugs flying around the city. Capturing this city, and the hologram is still normal sized. That's the largest micro creature they've ever seen. That's gotta be super intimidating for these civilians. And we capture, and we accept their tiny surrender, giving us airplanes. And the toy airplane in this cutscene looks like the perfect size for our citizens. No need for the full-sized airplanes, this will work perfectly. And speaking of giant holograms, we finished Civilization stage using the Fanatical Uprising, giving us the largest micro creature in history. But now our planet is too small, we need to take to the stars. With an appropriately sized spaceship, we make it into space stage. Calling mission control, and he's so small. There's even a tiny platform for him to stand on. Also interesting, when calling up a planet, there's sometimes a bit of static over the creature as the signal is connected. And this static normally covers the entire panel. But when it's our tiny creature, the static is actually just covering the creature, not the whole panel, which I thought was kind of funny. Now we are off to the center of the galaxy. We just need a bit of cash to reach the Galactic Core, so we can find some artifacts along the way. And we found an ancient fly swatter artifact, our tiny species' one weakness. Quickly selling off this lethal weapon to the nearest empire, and we meet the Groks on the way to the Galactic Core. The Groks declare war, and it must have been the Groks who created that ancient fly swatter, because all the Groks ships coming after us are equipped with fly swatter attachments. No, get away! They're chasing us down! But thankfully we were too fast and buzzed right on by. We made it to the Galactic Core at the center of the galaxy. And we received our Staff of Life from Steve in our tiny spaceship, beating Spore as the smallest creature. This was a really fun way to play through Spore, and this creature will be linked in the description if you'd like to play around with it as well. Let me know what you thought of this run, and let me know what else you'd like me to try in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Kingly Valence, and I'll see you next time.